Hi everybody, Pat Huntoon here from Technique Junkies. Today I'm reviving an old favorite technique of mine called aged tiles. And we're just going to be using one background stamp. It's a smaller background stamp, so we'll probably be matting this along with some inks to make this technique happen. Okay, so I have inked this background stamp with VersaFine Pigment in Vintage Sepia. A stamp like this, which has pine branches, which are one color, and pine cones, which are another. Pick one or the other colors, and then you can use a coloring tool to color it the rest of the way. I'm going to be using my chameleon colored pencils to color this image, and all I'm doing is really just going over where the pines are. Since this is going to have a very aged look anyways, I just want to get some color down on this. When I did the pine bows, I simply colored the whole section as opposed to coloring each of these little pine needles. It's really not necessary. If you look at that, you can see it's really not necessary to do that, and yet it still jumps off the page. So now what we're going to do is trim this down. So this is the frame for what we're doing. We want to make this even more vintage. So what we're going to do, I'm going to measure this. This is 3 3/4 right now. So what we want to do is cut this into even sections so that we can just make this look a little aged. So even sections for a 3 3/4 inch piece would be 1 1/4. So what needs to be perfect is that you need to have the same amount of cuts on each piece, because if you don't, they will be uneven as far as how they lay on your cardstock. So 1 2 3, and I'm lining these up on my work surface as I go along. And you want the breaks in the pieces to be off center. So you don't want the breaks to be exactly lined up. You don't want them like that with the breaks like that. You want them misaligned. So you want to have the same amount of breaks on each of them. It's very randomly cut, but you can see there's the same number of cuts on each of the strips. So I think you can see that. So what I'm going to do is use my Distress ink in old paper. So I'm using an ink blusher, or you can use any cosmetic sponge. I'm picking up a bunch of ink on it, and then I'm just going to go around the edges. Now I'm not only going to go around all 4 edges. So what you want is you want to get a nice edging on here all the way around. And you see where it's got a frame here? I want to go on the inside of the frame a little bit, because that's what's going to give it the aged look. So now I have all my pieces done, and it's time to put this onto a card. So it's important that you pick a background that's going to show this off, and use a good glue that's going to hold it together. So I have this pretty green paper that really matches the greens in here, and I've cut this to 4 by 5 1/4. If you remember, this was 3 3/4 by 5, and I'm just going to gently move this off and over here, keeping them in order. Just makes your life easier if they're in order, so then you don't mess up and pick up the wrong piece. I'm going to be using this Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive Clear Drying Craft Glue. I've really fallen in love with this glue. It is it's very versatile glue. It dries clear, one piece at a time. I'm going to apply some glue to this. And then I'm going to place it right up here. And this, because it is a 1/4 inch bigger, means that I have 1/8 inch all the way around. So I'm just going to push that all the way up and have that be nice and even. And the nice thing about this glue is if I need to make little adjustments on the first view, I can already feel it getting more solid on me, but that's good. That's what you want. And you want to just run your finger to make sure that those are butted up against each other. Okay, so you can see I've got it all put together. And I was very subtle about my separations. If I want to even enhance them more, there's two ways I can do it. I could take this sponge and just try to get a little edging in there to get it to highlight it a little bit, but that's really more than I want to do. All right, so if you want to highlight that even more, there's another way you can do it. If you don't want to do that where it's really hard to control where the ink goes, you can grab a Copic marker, and I am using E43 Dull Ivory. So what I'm going to do is just literally with the brush end, just going to kind of follow the line down and not try to go too far out of the lines. Just where they meet, it'll help highlight and identify the age areas. So there's the piece. It is done all the way. I just need to mount it on paper for you so you can see it fully. I was stamping the inside, A Very Merry Christmas to You, the Technique Junkies stamp. I had a thought that this would be beautiful with pine bows on the inside. So I'm going to be using the pine bow from the Season's Greeting set. So I'm just going to ink this, stamp it in a couple of places on the inside of this card. So this card is pretty on the inside and out. And again, that's the pine bow from the Season's Greeting set. So we have pine on the outside, A Very Merry Christmas to You on the inside. That's the end of our tutorial today. I hope you did enjoy learning a little bit or relearning about aged tiles. If you did, give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you very much for stopping by today. I'll see you next time. Bye now.